Hey everybody, it is Prime Day. That is normally one of the best and happiest days of the year for Amazon sellers, but this year, not so much. And I want to explain about what's happening to Amazon sellers and why this year is a little different than other years. There are some things that Amazon is doing today that is a little different, and there are a lot of things that have led up to this year in this Prime Day that have made this day not as celebratory as usual. So a couple articles have come out that have outlined some of the issues that have happened for sellers, and I want to reiterate some of those. And I want to explain our own experience and the experience of a lot of our members in the inner circle and in seller systems. So one of the things that we're experiencing and that most sellers are experiencing are double the rates for shipping. So if it was $7,000 to bring a container in of goods last year, it is now $14,000. Now, some of these rates are even higher than double, but you can imagine for the larger items, this is more per item and can be really restrictive or really hurt you. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is that Amazon is having a huge issue with getting enough staff at a lot of their warehouses. In addition to that, they are running out of space because of the extra demand, a lot more sellers, a lot more inventory. They're running out of space at their warehouses also. So what they've done is they've started implementing a lot of inventory restrictions. It started last year where they were implementing storage limit restrictions on how much space you had. Now, if you went over that space, they were charging you a premium for that storage, but that still wasn't necessarily that bad because you still had the option to even send things in and just pay that fee. But they later changed that to where you couldn't even make a shipment if you hit that limit. And the way they were calculating that limit was with something they call an IPI score. Now, this IPI score is a combination of your sell-through rate and how effectively you were using the space that they were giving you. There was even some calculation in there with how much money, the value of the goods per square foot, you were taking, because obviously they make more money per square foot. That's better for them. So they were calculating that as well. Just recently, over the last couple months, they've moved to a system and they've changed it again to where they are giving you a unit restriction. So a number of units that you can send in for different categories. You have your regular sized unit restrictions, you have your oversized unit restrictions, and you have your clothing unit restrictions if you're in the clothing space. And they're calculating each of those things a little bit differently. They're at different warehouses, and you obviously have some different factors at play for clothing with high return rates, a lot of extra SKUs, things like that, versus just regular, regular goods. So why is this important and what is this doing? Well, unfortunately, this is really hurting the growth of sellers. If you first start out, you get 1,000 units you can send in. And then from there, if you're doing a really good job of managing your sell-through rate and you're only sending in 30 days worth of inventory and you're sending in more frequent shipments, that number should start to grow and you can send in more, but you can't grow too fast that way. So if I start with 2 or 3 products, I can only send a few hundred units of each in. I have to keep sending in frequent shipments. I'm not able to then go to 30 products or 20 products. It's really hurting the ability to grow for sellers like me or other sellers who want to grow fast and really scale their business up. The other thing that this is impacting is the ability to send inventory directly to Amazon from your manufacturer in China or from wherever you're manufacturing your goods. That's a significant cost increase for a lot of sellers. Like, for example, if I were to send a container directly in from my factory from China into Amazon with, 10,000 units, that might be 2 or 3 months worth of inventory. Amazon's not really wanting that anymore. They don't want to have more than maybe 30 days of inventory there. And what that's forcing me to do now is either send a mixed container of goods, but that's on the sea for 45 days. And those units that are on that container are still counting against my limits, even though they haven't arrived yet, which is a major issue. And on top of that, I'm having to then send a large percentage of my goods through either my own warehouse in the United States, which is very expensive, or through a third-party logistics warehouse, warehouses that around the country that offer the service of receiving goods, packaging them, labeling them, and sending them to wherever you're going to sell them, which, most often for us is Amazon's warehouses. Now, that extra cost of them receiving the container, palletizing the goods, storing it, and then pulling it and putting labels on the pallets for us can cost us significantly more per unit than just sending them in. But we're forced to do it now. And so all of these costs are really prohibitive and can make a product that was very profitable for us all of a sudden not very profitable. And it can also ultimately going to raise the prices for the end consumer. So why is all of this a concern here for Prime Day? Well, I don't have as much inventory in Amazon's warehouses as I used to. So if I have a day where I have all of a sudden 5 times as many sales, that's a huge issue because I might run out of stock. And if I run out of stock, all of a sudden that I'm losing out on all of those days that I could be in stock and making money. I don't have the ability to quickly get goods here at an effective price, and I don't have the ability to replenish those inventory levels as quickly. Now, what does that mean for Prime Day? So for Prime Day, the way that we're treating it is that we don't want to run these sales. We don't want to run out of stock. We don't want to give as good of deals to the buyers because it's only going to end up hurting the bottom line of our company ultimately. And that's kind of what these articles were alluding to, is that a lot of sellers are not going to be putting products on sale like they used to. That brings me to the other part of what Amazon is doing on Prime Day this year that's a little bit different than previous years. If you go to Amazon's homepage right now while Prime Day deals are running, you're going to see a feature for tons and tons of products that are on Prime Day deals. Now, this is interesting. In order to get a Prime Day deal, a seller had to guarantee that they were going to lower the price by 20% over their last 30 days, lowest price. So what a lot of sellers did is 30 days ago, they raised their prices up, anticipating Prime Day. And now they've given this Prime Day deal, which isn't really much of a savings, but they're being featured as a lower price than normal. Or the lowest price of the year, guaranteed, all of those things that Amazon's trying to guarantee you. But I can assure you that most sellers are still raising their prices and doing some kind of manipulation there. Now, if you didn't participate in this deal, like we didn't for most of our products, we're having trouble getting traffic on Prime Day because if anyone clicks through a Prime Day deal and then goes back up to the search bar, there's a new section there that says search Prime Day, Prime deals. Now, the search Prime deals is only going to show you a search results of deals that are being featured with these Prime Day deals. Amazon says that there's over 2 million products that have participated in these Prime Day deals. Now, what does that mean? That means that on a day where normally the past few years we were seeing 3 to 5 times as many sales as we normally would, we're seeing only 20 to 50% more sales than we normally would, which again is fine for us. We did not, we're not able to stock up on inventory as much, but it's not as celebratory as it normally is on a day like this for us. And there are a lot of issues that need to be fixed at Amazon for us to feel comfortable about the coming holidays. Prime Day is just normally a nice boost in the middle of the year for us, but it's not as big of a deal for us as something like Q4, where we have the entire holiday season, all of November and December, where our sales can be as much as 5 to 10 times or more of what they normally are for any other time of the year. So how is that going to play out for these inventory restrictions? How is Amazon going to handle that for us third-party sellers? How are we going to navigate these restrictions? That's going to be a huge deal and something that we have to figure out. And I can tell you that one of the things that we're doing, us being in the toy space, is that we're looking for other marketplaces, and it has accelerated our desire to diversify. We are looking at wholesale. We're looking at specialty stores. We're looking at getting into retail. We're looking at Walmart.com. We're looking at a lot of other marketplaces to diversify our business. Whereas we were very comfortable just growing as fast as we could on Amazon, because at the time it represented the largest ROI for our time and our money and our capital, of which we were restricted. If we had unlimited resources in human capital and in money, we would probably be doing all of those earlier. But given that we were restricted with how much time and capital we had, we were going to only concentrate on Amazon.com because it represented the best opportunity for our business. So I'm curious, what are you guys doing as Amazon sellers? And has this accelerated your desire to look at other marketplaces? Is Amazon empowering their competitors by having these inventory restrictions?